All right, sorry, got cut off. So we're going to try to get that -2 out. So again, you can go and try to do the 19. It's just ugly numbers. Like, so I'd have to multiply like this one by either +19 or -19, this one by +3 or -3. You could work on that one. This one's just a little bit better because I can come over here and I can say, okay, if I do -5R2 plus R3, that's going to give me my new R2. Okay, because -5 times -2 right here is going to give me a +10 plus that -10. So if I come down here, these are going to stay the same. And I apologize because I picked this one thinking that it wasn't that bad, but it's actually really ridiculous numbers. So that's my bad. Okay, so those two are going to stay the same. Then when I multiply by -5 and then add together, okay, this is going to stay 0. -5 times 3 is -15 plus 19 is going to give me 4. These are going to 0. -5 plus 3 is going to give me -2. +5, because -5 times -1. So +5 plus 0 is going to give me just 5. And then this is 0 plus -2, so -2. Okay. Now's the time. Now we're going to get rid of this ugly 19. Okay, because we have to get rid of that ugly 19 because if right now, if I try to zero out this 4, okay, say I tried to go up to this 4 and I tried to use R2 to do it, well, I can't use R2 to do it because 0 is here and 4 is there. So I'd have to use R3, and when I did that, I would screw up this pretty 0 that I created right here. So because this can stay a number, and that's fine, we're going to use this one to try to zero out this one. So this is where the numbers are going to get absolutely ridiculous. So we're going to do -19 plus R2 plus 4 times R3 is going to give us our new R3. These numbers are bad, so I'm going to write what they are up here so you guys can see them. So when I do -19 times R2, I'm going to get 0, -76, 0, 38, -95, and 38 again. Okay, when I multiply 4 times R3, I'm going to get 0, 76, -40, +12, 0, and -8. Okay, when I add all those together, I'm going to get 0, 0, -40, +50, -95, and 30. That's what I was telling you when these numbers get a little crazy. So that's going to give me -6, 0, 4, -2, 5, 0. That stayed the same. This one stayed the same. And then this one is now 0, 0, -40, 50, -95, and 30. So good news is we're almost there, okay? The only thing we have to zero out now is this 4, and we have to use, obviously, this last row to do that. So if I do 10 times R1 plus R3 to give me my new R1, we're going to end up getting -60, 0, 0, 30, -45, 30. Then the other two stayed the same. 0, 4, 0. There's that line there. -2, 5, -2. And then 0, 0, -40, 50, -95, and 30. Okay, the good news is, because all this has been crazy so far, but the good news is that now all you have to do is you need to go through and multiply by those multiplicative inverses in order to zero out. So like if I want to make this a 1, that means I'm going to need to do -1/60 times R1. Okay, because -160 times times -60 is going to give me +1. I'm going to need to multiply R2 by 1/4, and I'm going to need to multiply R3 by -1/4. over 40 times R3. Now, there's a 0% chance that you have to do one by hand that becomes this ridiculous. So I'm just going to use the calculator to finish this off. Okay, so the goal is that we created that inverse on the left side, which is what we were going for. So our first row, we multiplied by negative 160, negative 1 over 60. So we're going to multiply that by 30, and that's going to give us negative 1/2. Then we're going to do negative 45 times 160, or times negative 160, sorry, is positive 3 over 4. Then 30 times negative 160 is going to give me, again, negative 1/2. So that's your first one. This, again, zeroed out. Negative 2 times a fourth is negative 1/2. 5 times a fourth is 5/4. Negative 2 times a fourth is, again, negative 1/2. And then the last row, so again, this would become 1. So negative 1 over 40 times 50 is going to give us negative 5 over 4. Negative 95 times negative 1/40 is going to give me 19 over 8. Ugh, that's a really ugly one. And then 30 times negative 1/4 is going to give me negative 3/4. This side right here, that is your inverse. Okay, now, I'm going to be so honest. If you know how to do everything else in these 2 units and you can't for the life of you do this, okay, I consider that pretty good success. You know what I mean? So just make sure you're not letting this one skill kind of bog you down and make you think that you suck or anything like that. Because you don't suck if you can't do this one thing, because this one thing is very difficult. It takes a lot of steps, lots of room for error, lots of room for kind of going in an order that makes things harder than anticipated. So yeah, so lots of stuff. Okay, let's move on to things that I know you're going to see on the test and that are actually usable. So use the determinant to find the inverse of a 2 by 2. So we did this 2 by 2 matrix earlier, like 2 videos ago. So using the determinant, remember, is saying that if you have 1 over your determinant times, if you flip A and D, so remember this is written as A, B, C, D. So if you flip these two and you change the sign of these two, that's going to give you your inverse. Okay? So if I'm going to find my determinant, I'm doing negative 4 times negative 4 is 16 minus negative 8, which gives me plus 8, which gives me 24. So I'm going to do 1 over 24 because it's 1 over my determinant. I'm going to flip-flop these two, which in this case don't change anything because they're the same number. And then I'm going to change the sign of these two, negative 4, positive 2. And then I'm just multiplying like a scalar in. So negative 4 times 1/24 is going to give you negative 4 over 24, which is going to reduce to negative 1/6. So all these are going to be negative 1/6 because all of these are the same thing. And then if you have 2 over 24, that's going to give you 1/12. That you're definitely going to see, and that you definitely need to know how to do. So make sure you have that in your head. Do not forget about the flipping and making negative because that's an easy way to get it wrong also. Next, write a system of equations as a matrix equation. This is just pulling over your coefficients. So this would be negative 1, negative 5, negative 5, 2, positive 4, negative 5, positive 4, 19, 1, 5, negative 1, negative 20. You need to make sure that they're in standard form. So if they're not in standard form, you need to adjust that and make them all XYZ equals a number. Okay, we've got like 2 more pages. So the next page, we're going to talk about Cramer's rule. So again, if you're kind of stuck on Cramer's rule, make sure you're coming over for that part. And then we're going to solve using Gaussian elimination. That last page is going to be, we're actually going to use Cramer's rule. We're going to talk about why we have to use inverses, and then we're going to do one real world application. So if you need help with any of that stuff, make sure you're coming back for either one of those two videos. All right, talk to you later. Bye.